Okay, so I'm very happy to be talking to Ashley Yong today from Chicago. Ashley's a college student studying journalism and winner of Student Journalist of the Year award for Illinois this year. She just told me she graduated yesterday, so she's also a writer, a photographer, and a graphic designer. So hello, Ashley.
Hi, John. So nice to be talking to you today.
Yeah, you too. Now, while all your achievements are very impressive, they're not the reason I got in touch with you. It's to do with your prom and the story around your prom night. And it's a story that's been widely covered on the internet and it's featured in the Huffington Post. So can you
Yep.
take me back to before your prom and sort of walk me through what happened?
Right. So back in December of 2014, I was watching YouTube videos, philanthropic videos that where people were helping the homeless by either giving them Thanksgiving meals or just sitting down and talking to them, or even one man took him on a homeless man makeover where he gave him a haircut and he took him to a hotel room and took him out to a fancy dinner and went shopping. And it was around that same time that everyone in my high school was getting excited for our senior prom. And that's when girls, especially around December, that's when girls start looking at different hairstyles on Pinterest, different ways we can do our makeup, or how to get our dresses tailored and all of that. The little things that go into prom, the little expensive things that go into prom. And I was just as excited as all of my friends. So as I was watching those videos, it was at that same time I was getting money for prom because I didn't want to ask my father to pay for all of my prom because he works very hard as it is to provide for me on a daily basis. And our prom was relatively expensive. It was $145 for a ticket. So that included like a dinner, a night at the Drake Hotel, a DJ. What else was there? Oh, it was a ticket to our post prom as well on the Spirit of Chicago boat, which went after prom. And so, yeah, all of that $145 included all of that. But I'm a high schooler with no job and like no way to sustain myself and no money. So I didn't want to ask my dad to pay for all of that for me. So with that in mind, I went on Craigslist, which is, I don't know if you guys have that in Ireland, but it's like a way to sell things online. It could be products or services.
Yeah,
So, yeah, do you guys have that?
Well, we can see it, but it's not really active here. It's yeah, so we can see the website, but that's about
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
So we have a Craigslist specifically for Chicago. So I went on the Chicago Craigslist and I posted an ad to sell some of my old clothes. I posted an ad to offer graphic design and photography and writing gigs. And within a few months, up until March, I'd gotten $250 just from Craigslist stuff.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so that's how I got the money for my prom slash alternative prom adventure. And as I was getting that money and doing like website design for people, I realized that I was doing all of this to blow all of that money on one night on a dress that I was only going to wear for one night, on makeup that was only going to be on my face for a night. And I thought that was all actually pretty ridiculous. And I don't mean to criticize girls that do that because I do understand that prom really is a culminating event for a lot of high school girls and boys, and they really want to feel special and they really want to be with their friends. But from my own personal experiences, I thought it was very vain of me to want so much, already having such a blessed, comfortable life. And I didn't want to just spend all that hard-earned money on myself. So it was around then, after I was getting that money, that I decided instead to spend it on prom. And that's where the YouTube videos came in. They really served as inspiration to me. So I wanted to my original plan was to do the homeless man makeover video I saw. But after talking that over with my dad, he said it was a little too dangerous or risky for a first time adventure, I guess. So
So how far was this now from your prom?
this was a few months before my
A
prom.
few months before. Okay.
Yes. So a few months before my prom, I started
And sorry to
talking.
interrupt you. Was there a tipping point? Like, was there a point when you know the balance of looking at the hairstyles on Pinterest and thinking about the videos of helping the home? Was there a clear point where you kind of where the balance tipped, or was it just a slow thing that kind of dawned on you?
I think the largest tipping point was definitely seeing that homeless man makeover video, because I saw the way the man was just ecstatic to be there, and how happy he felt, and how happy the person giving all of that to him felt in return. And I really wanted to share in that instead of just dancing a night away with my friends. So that probably would have been the largest tipping point for it.
Right.
And then, so then I started talking it over with my dad, and I wanted to do the homeless man makeover one, but it was a little too risky for a first time thing. So then he suggested instead making supply boxes. And I like that idea a little more just because it was a more widespread thing. I could help a few more people than just one person. So
Yeah.
so it was I think it was in February that I started planning all the things I wanted to put in the box. So for a few items, I went online and looked what are some things homeless people need. And obviously it was like clothes, food, socks, and stuff like that. So I started compiling a Word document of a list of all the things I needed to put in there. But then I also started thinking about things that I use on a daily basis that homeless people would need, but not everyone would think they need. So I included chapstick and Band-Aids and stuff that I often take for granted because it's just sitting in my cupboard from when my dad brings it home from shopping. So I definitely want to include those things.
Okay. So you used the money that you had made for your prom to make up these boxes. Is that right?
Right. Yep.
And where did you get this? Where did you go to get the different things that went in the box?
Right. So on March, my father and I set out to go shopping for the supplies. First, we went to Costco, which is a very large wholesale store we have here in America, where they sell lots of items in bulk. So I felt that was a very good starting point because I could get a lot of items for not a nominal fee, but like a reduced price from
Yeah.
buying products
Yeah.
individually.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. So we went there, and the largest items, or what am I trying to say? The most items that we got from there were food items. So they were prepackaged, and we could just like grab a large box of them. And I made sure to get at least 20 of each item to put in each box because that was the goal I set, $20. And I wanted to spend about $10 a box. So that
So 20
first,
boxes altogether.
right, 20
Yeah.
boxes altogether.
Right.
And then so at Costco, we bought all the food. And then we went to Walmart next to get some clothes. So I bought t-shirts and socks from Walmart.
Right.
And then originally, in my original plans, I would have gotten everything from Costco and Walmart, but they didn't have a lot of the other miscellaneous items like small packages of tissues or toothbrushes that I wanted. So I thought the best place to go to get those was online. So I went to Amazon.com and just spent a night searching through bulk items that they offered on there. So from Amazon,
Okay.
from Amazon, I got tissues, toothbrushes, bandages, what else? Gum, chapstick. So yeah, all that stuff came from Amazon, and I spent the most on Amazon, and then Walmart, and then Costco, price order wise. But I listed that in the video if you want to double check the exact numbers.
Right.
And then in total, I spent $214.71. Let me double. Okay, $214.74 on products.
Okay.
Yep. And then it was in early April that I started packaging the boxes just one day that I got bored, I decided, all right, I'm just going to do this today instead of saving it for the last second. So I had to assemble all the boxes and then lay out all the materials I had. And I was doing all of this while I was filming, and I'll talk more on that later about why I filmed it. But I just set up a tripod in my living room and turned on the camera, and then I just went at it, and I packaged everything in a few hours.
Did you have to buy the boxes as well?
Yes, I did. That was from Amazon too.
Okay, so you packed the boxes up.
So then it sat in my living room for a while just because I did it in early April, and my prom was on April 25th. So the night of prom came around, and the night of prom, I didn't do anything. I just sat in bed and watched movies and scrolled through Facebook, and that was a little that was kind of emotional for me just because going through Facebook, I saw all of my friends in their dresses with their hair done up, with their dates, and I really started questioning, did I do the right thing skipping out on my only chance for a senior prom?
Yeah.
So that the night of prom was kind of hard, just not being with anyone and just looking at all my friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah, the day after was the day I decided to go and distribute. And the reason I didn't do it on prom night was because Chicago can be a little dangerous at night, so I didn't want to risk anything. But the next day was gorgeous and sunny, and that's the day my dad and I set out in the afternoon to go distribute the boxes. And we drove around Lower Wacker Street and State Street. And my father works downtown, so he encounters a lot of homeless people, unfortunately. So he knew where to go to find them, to help them out. So I let him lead the way and drive, and we came across tons of people. And it was a little difficult just because you're not supposed to just stop on the street and hop out and hand someone a box. So, and he had to film me too. So he was a little worried that...
Why are you not supposed to do that?
Just because like traffic in Chicago can get very congested.
Oh, right. So it's just you're not supposed to stop. It's not
right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Especially on the places we were going, they weren't like empty streets by any means. They were actually pretty busy streets.
Okay.
Which
so your dad's
sense.
behind the wheel. He's got the camera. He's looking in his rearview mirror. And
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
He's worried about cops coming after him. So I had to make each one pretty quick, but I did get to say a few words to them, exchange a little bit of conversation with each person as
how did you pick them?
Honestly, we just drove around, and anyone we saw that we could stop in front of, we did.
So it's like the first 20.
Right, exactly. So
Okay.
I just hopped out of the car real fast, real quick, and grabbed a box and then said, I made these boxes what did I say exactly? I didn't go to my senior prom because I wanted to make these boxes of supplies and food and clothes for homeless people. So I wanted to give you one of these. And a lot of them would say, oh, bless you, like, thank God for you, and all of that. And that was just really fulfilling to hear each one of their responses and to know that I was helping 20 different people, and maybe even more if they passed along the kindness that I did to them. So that was great.
So that would have made up for the previous night.
Oh yeah,
A
definitely.
lot.
Right. By the end of the night, by the end of Sunday, I didn't regret a single thing, and I know that I grew as a person that day. As cliche as that sounds, I did feel more understanding, more emphatic, and like I said in other media sources, that I wouldn't trade that in for anything, because no prom night could ever compare to that.
And what was it, do you think, that the act of giving them made you grow?
I think seeing people in situations that they can't control made me realize how lucky I am to be in the position I am as a daughter of a family that will provide for me for a very long time. And especially as a teenager, it's very easy to get caught up in our own lives and to be selfish and to think that we are the center of the world. But
Yeah, that doesn't stop after you become after you stop being a
right,
teenager.
right. But it's a very prominent theme, I guess, when you're 17,
Yeah,
16,
yeah.
18 years old. And to see, just to expand your perspective and to see different ways people live is a really eye-opening experience, because you, like I said, you think you're the center of the world and you think your problems are the end all be all, but you don't realize that there are so many people in this world that don't have their basic needs met, and you're complaining about not having the car for a night or something like that,
Yeah.
something very teenagey. So yeah, that really made me open my eyes.
So do you think, like, because you would have seen homeless people before all this started to happen, but
Right.
do you think that because you had decided to do this and because you got out of the car and gave, do you think that the homeless people like showed up on your radar and became a lot more real because of what you were doing?
Yes, very much so. I live in a suburb about half an hour away from Chicago. So Chicago is definitely a hot spot for students in my school. So we go down there a lot, go downtown just to hang out and have fun. And I would do that probably a few times a month. And every time my friends and I would go down there, we would just ignore homeless people. We have been taught our whole lives that homeless people are just like takers, and all they want is your money to buy drugs or alcohol, and not to talk to them because they could hurt you. And while that may sometimes be true, it's a very harsh generalization that really damages their reputation as people, and it makes them see us as lower than us morally, lower than us as a human, which is completely outrageous. So going downtown and seeing them when I'm out with my friends, I wouldn't do anything, just because that's not really what we did, I guess, as
Yeah.
teenagers, to help them out.
So you gave out the boxes and you made the video. You videoed the whole thing.
Right.
So what happened after that?
Okay, so I post the video actually on the same night that it happened. Well, wait, let me double check on that. Give me 1 second.
God, you must be quick at editing.
Yeah. I actually really love like video production and editing, so that's why I did it. Yes, I did publish it on the same night that I did it. Because I was just very excited to see how it all came together. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
posted it on that same night, and I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. I knew that people in my school would see it, and I knew that my friends would see it, and they would share it with their friends, but I would never expect to see it blow up to the magnitude that it did.
Well, what kind of magnitude are we talking about now?
I mean, I'm talking Ashton Kutcher and Nicki Minaj posting it on their Facebooks, media companies from all around the world contacting me for interviews and articles. And yeah, that's outrageous. And so many different Facebook pages seeing it and posting it. And the GoFundMe like definitely blew up to almost $6,000 now. So I'm very proud of that.
So just explain the GoFund thing to me.
Right. So GoFundMe is an online fundraising campaign where anyone can start up a campaign and release the link to their friends and family, where they go to donate online with a credit card or a debit card.
Yeah.
And all you do is just put in whatever dollar amount you want to give. So for my GoFundMe page, I set it up a few days after I posted the video under the guidance of one of my friends who said, you should definitely try to fundraise online to see if you can get more money. So I just set the goal at $200 and I let it go, and it blew up. And also part of the reason that I wanted to do it again was because driving out of Chicago, I saw probably 10 more people that I wanted to help, but I didn't have any more boxes for, and that absolutely crushed me. And I know And I knew in that moment that I wanted to do it again very soon.
So the GoFundMe was for a second run, basically, was
Right,
it?
a
Yeah.
second run. So I set the goal at $200 because I was just going to do another 20 boxes at $10 each, but now it's at $6,000. So I'll have to do a little financial planning, which is insane because I'm only 17 years old and I don't even have my own bank account. But but I'll definitely have to look into that. I'm actually looking into starting a nonprofit organization, which again is insane because I'm still 17 years old. But I can't think of a better thing to do with this money. Of course, we're still going to be making boxes periodically and distributing them, but I want this campaign to not lose its momentum and to go on a larger scale. So I'm working on getting a domain name right now. I'm working on the legal fees for nonprofits, and it's all becoming very real.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Did you follow up with any of the people that you gave the boxes to?
No, unfortunately, I haven't yet because I haven't had another chance to go downtown. But I'm sure that if I go to the same places, I will see a lot of the same people because they are homeless, so they have to
Yeah.
remain usually where they are. And there are some large, what do you call them? They condense in certain areas. So
Yeah.
the next time I do this will be in this summer in July. So
Okay.
I'll have to, go back and I've been offered so much help from different people across the country, and they're looking to donate supplies that they want to send me, and some people in my community who want to join me in the next distribution. So I've got a running list of people, and I'm so excited to start planning for July.
Brilliant. Because it's only like, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago that you did this, is it?
Right. I think about a month. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. And then, so like I said earlier, I was going to talk about why I made the video. And also, like I said before, I'm very into video production and editing. And I wanted to document my experiences for myself to be able to go back and reflect on an experience that I knew would really change the way I see things. So I did it partially for that, but also because it was YouTube videos that inspired me to do what I did. And I wanted to inspire people the way that those videos inspired me. And from the plethora of Facebook messages and emails I've been receiving, I definitely have done that. So many girls my age have reached out to me saying they're getting ready to do the same thing. And it is so touching.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, because you've done this, you would have thought a lot about homelessness, I imagine. Mm-hmm. And I think it's particularly bad in Chicago, but it's a worldwide thing. I mean, we've got homeless people in most big cities.
Right.
So, what do you think needs to be done?
Oh, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Homelessness is a very controversial topic because, like I said before, many people do think homeless people are just takers and drug addicts and people that don't want to work. But in reality, it's so much more than that. And on that note, I did get an email from a man in New York who runs an organization in which they help homeless people. And I'm just going to read a quick excerpt from his email, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, "I'm emailing because I see you helped children. Now, I understand you're new to the issue of homelessness, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on these topics, but I wanted to bring up another issue to you. Usually, we do not help children for many reasons, which all support a fight against injustice. Not the injustice of homelessness, but an injustice of oppression. As much as we want to help all homeless, we do not want to enable a system of injustice where adults are keeping children in a homeless situation for some kind of benefit. This is why we refuse resources that could be supporting this kind of oppression. Obviously, we run late-night operations, so we even consider it more alarming when we see children on the streets so late into the night. There are many government and nonprofit organizations that aim to help get children and family off the streets. I know in New York this is the case, although I'm unsure about Chicago. I bet they are too. As painful as it is to observe fellow humans of any age living in desperate conditions, I think you'd agree it's even more heart-wrenching when you find young children who are homeless." And reading this message, I was very discouraged and saddened by what he said. And I do understand where he's coming from, but how can you see someone in that kind of situation, especially a child, and not want to help them? And I just I don't know what to do or what to say to that, because I do understand what he's saying, but
I didn't. What was he saying? I didn't get it.
he, okay, he was basically saying that when you help children, that's encouraging parents or adults to stay in that situation because they know people will try to help them.
Uh,
And
do you think that's true?
no, I don't. And I think it may be true of very, very few people. And to generalize that statement to all homeless people with children is actually quite insulting, because you never understand someone's situation, and you never will fully understand someone's situation unless you are in his or her shoes. And to not help someone just because you think that's true is just, I think in itself is an injustice. And it's not the child's fault at all that they are in that situation, or even if their parents have put them in that situation. Regardless, they're a child that is homeless, that needs help, not a lesson on injustice or oppression.
Yeah, and I think as well, you can kind of tell when someone is a professional beggar and they're using their child
Right.
as part of their job, if you know what I mean. And
Right.
certainly
Yeah.
the kids in your video, they didn't look like that at all.
Right.
They looked
And
like they were just, in trouble.
exactly. So I go to a high school in the Chicago suburbs, like I said, about half an hour away, and we actually have a 2% homeless population, which is crazy to think that so far out of the city, we have homeless people in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So at my school, that would be about 35 people. And I have a friend that is in a few of my classes. She's a very normal girl. Actually, she models for a living, and she is in AP and honors classes with me. AP is advanced placement. So she's
Okay.
in advanced placement and honors classes with me, which are very higher level thinking courses. And after I posted that video, she reached out to me and said, "That really touched me. I'm homeless." And that was one of the biggest shocks I have ever received, because you look at this girl and she's so high achieving and she's so inspiring to people around her. You wouldn't think she's homeless,
Yeah.
but she is. And so there are 35 homeless students in my school, which is crazy.
Yeah. So what, like, okay, I was gonna say, where does she live when she's homeless? But like,
Right.
how,
I think I would assume that she lives in a foster home. Oh,
oh,
no, not a foster home. I'm sorry, a shelter.
shelter.
So,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So they have a few of those at our school. And you can kind of tell when a student is homeless because a lot of them will take taxis to school. So that's how
Okay.
they get to school. Yeah. Yeah.
So we got a little bit sidetracked with that guy's email.
Right,
So
right.
what, like, it's because the thing is, like, I think a lot of the attitudes now to do with homelessness, they're about 10 years out of date, because there's a lot of people now that are homeless now, and it's purely for economic reasons. Certainly in Ireland, homes have been foreclosed on, people can get work, and, through no fault of their own, they just find themselves in this desperate situation.
Right, right.
So going back to my easy question, what do you think the answer is?
Oh my gosh.
What needs
Let
to
me think
happen?
about this one.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is, right, because you're obviously, like, have a different perspective to people your own age and even, older people. And, like, a lot of the problems in the world have been created by not your generation. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of lumped with them.
Right,
But, like, rather than going, oh, well, this isn't my problem,
right.
and somebody else created this, you actually did something about it. And I think when people take action, that says a lot more than, that you see a lot of people on social media saying so much stuff, but they
Exactly.
don't do
Right,
anything, right? Whereas you've actually
right,
done something. So I think that qualifies you to have, an opinion, and an opinion I want to hear about
right.
what do you
Okay.
think, is the answer,
Okay, I understand. So, from a long-term, large-scale perspective, I think that the government has to get involved, and and in what way, I have no idea, because I'm not a person that's very into, what am I trying to say? A very political person. So I wouldn't know how to do it in that way. But I do think each person can make a difference. And from that view, just being more empathetic people as a whole will really inspire our generation to help others in a way that that will have a profound impact on others. And that can start as something as small as doing what I did for prom, just sacrificing something that you want for others, or just not buying a shirt you wanted at the mall and instead buying a meal for someone that is homeless.
Yes.
I think that we need to truly believe that each person can cause a ripple effect in our community. I'm just a 17-year-old girl, and I never thought that my video would reach the corners of the world that it reached. Stuff like just the little things in life, sacrificing what you have just for the betterment of others.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Because I think that's it, really, isn't it? Because government maybe, but you really, we can't hang around waiting for the government to do anything. And like what you've done, if everybody did that, you could, like, even the way you were saying, like, lots of other girls have got in touch and said that they're thinking of doing that. I mean, I could kind of see that blossoming into whole schools going, you know what, let's not have a prom, let's have a really cheap prom, where we just get together and maybe get somebody to donate the hall or something like that, and we just have a good time. And we donate all the money we would have spent on dresses and hair and suits and whatever other stuff are involved. I could see that happening, quite easily.
Right. And in our day and age, when social media is such a strong tool to spread awareness and awareness for good causes, I think it's really important that we use that to our advantage, whether it be posting videos on YouTube or tweeting them out on Twitter or posting about them on Facebook. That is how we get our news nowadays. Whether we like it or not, that's how word travels the fastest nowadays on the internet. And because we are some of the greatest experts in that area, I think it's important that we get our message out that way, because I've been looking at like the analytics on my video, and although about like 40% of it comes from the United States, there are countries in Europe and Asia and all over the world, countries that I've never even heard of, where people are watching my video, and people are commenting like from Malaysia or from the Dominican Republic. And if just one person hears about it from different corners of the world, that can have a profound effect on the way the message spreads.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's my biggest hope for it, is that people will just hear about it, and it will start a conversation about what needs to be done, how we can do it, and the little things that we can change in our daily lives to help the cause. Yeah.
I think that's probably the most powerful thing. I mean, I think what you did is brilliant, and the impact it would have had on those 20 people is brilliant. But I think the fact that you videoed it, and I think the sort of unsaid communication that comes across in the video is that you were recognizing these people as people first, and that they happen to be homeless.
Right.
And I think that is so valuable. I think even if you just watch that, I think people who watch your video, I think it would be harder to kind of just walk by the homeless person, or even to think to just think that, oh, well, I'm not going to think about that person, or that person is trying to get something from me or whatever.
Yeah. And I really hope it serves as a reminder to people as they're walking down the street, in the city, wherever they may be across the world. And I have a teacher that lives in Chicago, and he told me that after he saw my video, he couldn't just step over the homeless person that he does in his neighborhood every day. He stopped and gave him some cash, and that really meant a lot to me, just because He's my teacher, and it's good to know that even though you are young, if you have the right message, even adults will listen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're shamed into it.
Almost. That's not really the hope. I just want them to be inspired more so than shamed.
Well, okay, I probably phrased that wrong, but do you know what I mean is like you watch like a video like yours, and like there's lots of other people doing similar kind of great things like that,
Right.
and it's that thing of well, you just did something rather than talking about it or writing big long
Exactly.
things about well, this is what we should do about the homeless. You just did a very simple thing, and you sacrificed something, and you gave up something that
Hmm.
was a big thing. Like it's a huge thing for somebody, to give up their prom
Right.
when it's in the context of where you're at your age. It's a big thing. It's not so much the money side of it, but what you
Oh
actually
yeah,
gave up.
undoubtedly.
Um,
It is one thing to say you're inspired and you're like so proud of me, which is like many of the comments that I've gotten, but it's another thing to go out and show me that you're inspired and to show the world that you're inspired by the message and to do it yourself. It's as simple as that. And the whole reason that I did this and I didn't just donate the money online or I didn't just hand someone money is because I was never the kind of person that was fulfilled from getting money and just giving it to someone else. I want to donate my time and my effort into making someone's life a little better, not just like putting money in their cup. So I really felt like it was the personal experience of handing people the boxes that really made me grow from it. And that's the whole aim of my future nonprofit organization is to get people more involved in the way they volunteer and the way they donate their time.
yeah, brilliant. Okay, we're going to change gears slightly now.
Okay.
You live in Chicago, which has got one of my favorite pieces of sculpture in it called Cloudgate.
Right, the bean.
The bean, yeah, or
Yep.
Cloudgate. I think I saw a picture. I was looking at your photographs. You got very nice photographs, by the way.
Thank you.
And I saw you took a picture of Cloudgate. Now, do you like Cloudgate? Yeah, the
Oh, yes,
bean.
I love it. It's a
Okay.
staple of Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. But the thing is, it cost $23 million, right?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Didn't know that one, but I do now.
Yeah, it started off the initial budget was 9 million, and it ballooned out to 23. Right. Now, brilliant as it is, do you think the money would have been better spent on helping homeless people?
Yeah, there are so many things that we needlessly spend money on that could go towards much better things. I mean, even from our military, we spend so much on it, and compared to the money we spend on education or welfare, it's pretty ridiculous. So there are an endless list of things that I could say right now that the money could better go towards. And that's like one of the central themes I felt when I was making my decision because should I impact myself or should I shallowly impact myself and have a great prom night, or can I make 20 people's lives just a little better? So that was like, yeah, the needless money spent in our city and across the country and across the world is just really disappointing because people don't have their priorities in place a lot of the times.
What do you mean by that now?
Like they'll value a huge metal bean sculpture more than they will a life or feeding someone.
Yeah, it's the money, really, isn't it? I mean, the art is beautiful.
Right,
It's a lovely thing.
right,
I don't know
right.
how it ended up costing so much money, but it's an astronomical amount of money.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I couldn't see how it costs that much money. That blows my mind.
yeah, no, it did. I mean, I'm sure it's brought a lot of money into Chicago from tourism and all that kind of thing, but still, it seems. And Anish Kapoor is the guy who he's the sculptor, but he didn't get that. I don't think he just designed it, and then it was made by the people in Chicago, the city planners or whatever.
Hmm.
You mentioned education there, are you in college or in transition into college?
I'm going into college. So I just graduated from high school last night, and then I will be attending the University of Missouri in Columbia, double majoring in business, marketing, and journalism with a certificate in nonprofit management.
Oh, very good. So what do you think about the current student loan thing in America? It's like
Oh my gosh.
out of control from what I can
Yes,
see.
yes. It really just puts us in a very bad situation. I'm fortunate enough not to have to take out any loans for my 4-year education, but plenty of my friends will have to. And I think it's just ridiculous how we have to pay so much money, and we have so much to the point that we can't afford it on our own, and our families can't afford it on their own, to receive an education that very often we need to have a life in which we can sustain ourselves in this country.
Yeah, because from what I'm reading, it's almost like people who are going into college or in college are going, we've got these come out with these huge student debts, and they're qualified for jobs that they probably won't get.
Right, because it's no longer enough just to have a college degree anymore. You need the experience, you need the references, you need the connections. And it's crazy to think that you have to devote so much of your life after college to paying for your college career that may or may not be helping you get a job anymore these days, just because the competition is so stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Do you think that it's going to implode, that colleges are going to stop, with so much of the education available online now? Do you think there's going to shift away from education to sorry. I think it's going to shift away from the focus being on qualifications onto education? Basically, can you do the job?
Yes. I do think it'll be a very slow shift because college is still seen as a very traditional route to go after high school. But there, 25% of my graduating class is going to a community college, which is a 2-year school that is basically a trade school. You go and get your general credits, and then from there, you can either attend a 4-year university or go get a job. But I think in the future, 4-year universities will not be seen as practical or as educational as they are today.
Yeah.
Because 4 years is a long time, and to be paying off a debt well past those 4 years is not really ideal, especially for someone who wants to start a life or a family right after college.
Yeah.
It's not economically feasible.
And who's making the money off the loans? Like, how does this situation come about? Like, who do you get? Who would you have to go to if you had to get a student loan? Is it the bank, or is there special banks for this?
I think it's just a federal loan for the most part.
Okay.
You just get it from the government, and then you pay it back to the government when you're older.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they have a similar system to that in Australia. It's called HEX debt. Same thing. I don't think it's not as bad though.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing is as bad as the situation in America.
Okay, so my last question, and I know you're 17 and all that, but if you could pass on one thing to future generations, what would it be?
Let me think about this one. If I could pass on something to future generations, I would implore that they get involved with causes. I would implore that they. Oh, what was I trying to say? That they get involved hands-on with causes for which they are advocating. So whether they care about so, for example, if someone cares about cancer research, instead of just donating some money they made for cancer research, shave your head and donate your hair to wigs for cancer children. That's what I did last year when I was a junior. Yeah. So, and if you care about homeless people, take a homeless person out for a meal. Don't just put money in his or her cup. So just really take a hands-on approach to what you care about, because in the end, that's what matters more to them, and that is what is more fruitful to you, and what you will gain more experience and more perspective from.
Brilliant. Okay, so how can people find out more about what you're doing, Ashley?
I'm starting up this website, like I said, and I haven't acquired the domain name yet, but I think I'm deciding to call my organization just Help the Homeless, keep it simple, and like the name of my video. So, but I have like a Facebook and a website, www.ashleyyong.com, where they can contact me from there. And I still have the GoFundMe page up and the YouTube video up. So any of those.
That's all on your website, isn't it, Ashley Yong?
Yep.
And it's Yong, not with the U.
Right, Yong.
Yeah, Ashley Yong. Okay. Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Ashley. It's really encouraging for me, and I think for a lot of people to sort of see people like yourself who are doing a much better job. God, when I was your age, metaphorically, I think I was running around with a bucket on my head, running into walls. It's I know I wasn't, but I certainly wasn't thinking about homeless people, and I wasn't thinking about any of the sort of things that you are doing. So you're brilliant. I really applaud what you've done, and I think you are an inspiration. Certainly an inspiration to me, and I think to anybody who watches your video and sort of knows what you're doing. So thanks very much for talking with me. And
of course, it was great.
I wish you well with all the things you do in the future.
Thank you, John.
Okay, bye-bye, Ashley.
Bye.
I've never felt this good in my entire life. Make me some spaghetti.